Hello, first grade. It is time for a story. I'm going to finish reading. Well, hopefully finish. We don't have very many pages left at all. Magic Treehouse number 8, Midnight on the Moon. Now, when we last left Jack and Annie, they were trying to figure out what the fourth M thing was. They had a mango, a moonstone, a mammoth bone flute, and they realized, with their help from their astronaut friend, that it was mouse. That peanut was the last clue all along. And all of a sudden, when they said the words of all of the items, Morgan appeared. She was Peanut the whole time. Let's keep reading to find out what happens next. But how did they understand you? A mouse, said Jack. Morgan smiled again. Certain wise ones understand the language of little creatures, she said. Because remember, all of the people like the ninjas and in all the other places they were, Morgan was talking to them to tell them to help Jack and Annie. I bet it was you who turned the pages of the books, said Annie, to show us where to go next. Morgan nodded. But who turned you into a mouse? Said Annie. Morgan frowned. A certain person who likes to play tricks on me, she said. His name is Merlin. Merlin, said Jack. That's the greatest magician who ever lived. Morgan sniffed. He's not that great. He doesn't even know I have 2 brave friends who help me. Who, us? Said Annie. Morgan nodded. And I thank you both with all my heart. You're welcome. Morgan handed Annie the Pennsylvania book. Are you ready to go home now? She asked. Yes, said Jack and Annie together. Annie pointed at the picture of the Frog Creek woods and she said, what does she say? I wish we could go there. The treehouse started to spin. It spun faster and faster and faster, and then everything was still. Absolutely still. But only for a moment. Chapter 10, Earth Life. The midnight woods woke up. A breeze rustled the leaves. An owl hooted. The sounds were soft but very alive. Jack opened his eyes. He pushed his glasses into place. He smiled. Morgan was still with them. He could see her in the moonlight. Her long white hair was shining. Morgan, can you and the treehouse stay here? Said Annie. In Frog Creek? No, I must leave again, I'm afraid, said Morgan. I've been gone from Camelot for a long time. She handed Jack his backpack and brushed his cheek. Like that. Her hand felt soft and cool. A bit of moon dust is still on you, she said. Thank you, Jack, for your great love of knowledge. You're welcome, said Jack. Morgan tugged on one of Annie's braids. And thank you, Annie, for your belief in the impossible. You're welcome, said Annie. Go home now, said Morgan. Jack smiled. Home was Earth. Remember, they were on the moon. That bright, colorful world where everything was alive and always changing. Bye, Morgan, said Annie. She started to go out of the treehouse. Jack looked back at Morgan. Will you come back soon? He asked. Anything can happen, said Morgan. The universe is filled with wonders, isn't it? Jack smiled and nodded. Now go, said Morgan. Jack followed Annie down the rope ladder. He stepped onto the ground. The wind started to blow. The tree house started to shake. A loud roar filled Jack's ears. He squeezed his eyes shut. And then everything was still. Jack opened his eyes. The ladder was gone. He looked through the leaves and the branches of the giant oak tree. Where the treehouse had been, they only saw moonlight now. So they're just seeing the light shine from the moon. The treehouse is all gone. "Bye, Peanut," said Annie. Jack and Annie stared at the top of the tree for a long time. "Are you ready?" said Annie, and they started to walk home. The midnight air felt cool and moist. It was filled with the soft sounds of earth life. Jack and Annie left the Frog Creek woods. They started walking down their street. Annie looked up at the sky. "The moon looks really far away, doesn't it?" It did, thought Jack. It was. "I wonder how the moon can be up there all alone," said Annie. "What do you mean?" Oh, the moon man. I wonder how the moon man can be up there. Who helps him put on his spacesuit? Who helps him get up when he falls down? And who is he? Added Jack. Who do you think he was? He must be a scientist or an astronaut from Earth, said Jack. I think he was an alien, said Annie, from another galaxy. Jack scoffed. Scoffed is like, ugh. What makes you say that? I just feel it, said Annie. Wrong, said Jack. There is no proof that aliens exist. Maybe not now, but don't forget we were in the future. Oh, brother, said Jack. They crossed their yard and climbed their back steps. Annie tiptoed in the house and Jack followed her. Before he shut the door, he glanced up at the moon. Was Annie right, he wondered? Could the moon man have come from another galaxy? Morgan's words came back to him. The universe is filled with wonders, isn't it? Good night, moon man, whispered Jack, and then he closed the door. That was the end of Magic Treehouse number 8. So tomorrow we can start Magic Treehouse number 9 because I got it in the mail and I'm very excited. I hope that you liked this story. What was your favorite part? Bye, first grade.